He's saying quiet on set and everything.
Where did this high caliber black from? This is something else. Everything good?
Yeah.
What happened? Using the right terminology and
He's
anything.
he's
That's
in
a
the
keeper.
business. He's an actor.
Oh. Don't act all coy and shit.
He's not in the guild yet, but he gonna be.
Jesus. Using words like guild?
I use words like guild.
I don't know what a guild is. I thought guild was
I
like
think isn't that like their union?
you're like a swordsman?
Screen Actors Guild.
SAG is like
I
the
watch a
SAG?
lot of. I just watch a lot of interviews of these
Yeah.
motherfuckers.
Yeah.
No one says guild though. That was like, oh.
Yeah, I was like, she was legit. I was like, are you in the guild?
I could be.
The only guild I know is from RuneScape.
I know. I was about to say, like, RuneScape or something.
What the fuck is? I don't even know. Nope.
That's a throwback. That's the throwback.
No. Is that a
Alright.
video game?
Yeah, it was a huge video game. Before the internet was like, if RuneScape was on now, it'd be a problem. People would not go anywhere. Is it? But it's so shit. It's like 2D. Welcome.
Welcome.
Good try.
Shouldn't I say welcome since
If
it's
you
my
wanna say-
house?
yeah, if you want to say welcome, it's your house. You can say
It's not
whatever
my
you
house.
want.
Let's
It
just
is your
start.
house.
Let's just fucking start.
We already started.
Okay.
How are you?
I'm good.
Yeah.
It's getting cold finally.
Nah, fuck that shit. I hate the cold.
You hate the humidity. You hate the cold. You hate that it rains so much.
I just want things
I have
to
a
be
list of all
I
of your
just like
complaints.
things to be nice and even keel. Like why
Where is it
why
nice
there
and
needs
even
to
keel?
be difference? Just like let things be.
Because
the
okay, I'll
same.
tell you why there needs to be differences. Because otherwise, like you lose a little bit. That's why everyone in California is not totally sane. Because it's all the same, and like time doesn't feel like time is passing.
So
For
it's
me,
like it's like a time loop.
it's like a time loop. Like, is it October or is
I
it
do
February?
agree. Being sunny every day does take a lot out of you. Like
And I feel
sometimes
like
you need clouds.
You
to
get
offset it.
entitlement when it's like LA, like it's always sunny.
Yeah.
I feel like there's an entitled to like nice weather, but it's like if you have bad weather, then you really appreciate the good days.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
But that's just
It's
comes
all
from me.
relative. It's all
I like
relative for
rain.
me.
I like snow occasionally when it's not accosting you in the face.
like my perfect day, it's only ever happened once in my life, is overcast, but like a strong 88 degrees, right? With a light wind. It was the best day of my life. I
Where?
was smiling ear to ear.
Where was it?
It was here in Georgia. I
See?
think it had just been a storm during the summertime, so it
Yeah.
was cloudy, but then it was still like cool. The air was cool. Oh, If I could have that every day, I'd probably still be depressed. But you know, I'd be that much happier. That much happier.
By what percentage would be happier?
A strong 40.
Because I feel like the weather affects you, like your
yeah,
self
the
a
weather
lot.
does.
Because that's what you'll talk about it. like if we're out, even with a bunch of people, there's like shit in the news. There's like a bunch of other things to talk about. You'll be like, it's wet.
Yo, I noticed this, and I don't know why. If it's cold outside,
You will say it.
I will say
80
it's
times
cold.
minimum.
On a 45-second alarm.
Yeah.
Every single time.
I timed you one time. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what that. I just don't like the cold.
I know.
But I wanted to talk about something that you said to me one day, and it's never.
I knew you had it already.
It's
I'm like,
never. It's
she's out here asking me, what do you want to talk about? You already had it lined
It's
up.
never left my mind since you said it.
Ah, fuck.
We were talking about dating apps,
This is the laughing thing?
Yes.
Yes.
and I said all I ever see on dating apps is girls who say, "Oh, someone who makes me laugh."
Mhm.
And I came up to you and I said, "Lauren, what would you do if a man said, 'Oh, I'm looking for someone who makes me laugh'?" Do you remember what you said instantly? Didn't even think about it. Do you remember what you
silly.
said? That's silly. Why is that silly, Lauren?
We already had this conversation.
I wanna
Now
have it
you-
again.
You
Why
want
is
to
it
have
silly?
it so it's on record.
100%. Why is it silly?
I mean, it's silly for girls to say it too, but I mean, we say it. I don't know.
But like,
it's just
if
because I feel like this. I think this is why. Because I think, by and large, you don't think of men looking for relationships till, like, when I think I hear my guy friends be like, "Oh, a girl's pretty, she's smart," like the list of things that they say, I feel like humor is never on that list. It might be like number 7, but
Mhm.
when a friend comes talks to me about like a girl he's dating, he'll be like, she's pretty is always the first.
yeah,
And then smart, like what she's talking about, what her dissertation is about, all those things. But humor is never up there. Whereas with women, every time I talk to a girlfriend about like how was a date, especially if they were not attractive, she'll be like, he was funny.
huh? So is
So I
funny a
think-
redeeming? Like, can funny outdo what you look like for dudes?
With women, yeah. And I feel like, so why I think on my end, it would be funny for a man to say that on his dating profile is because I don't think if a girl is funny, I don't think that calculates until a little bit later. Because I think later on when you're in a relationship, then a man is like, my bitch is funny. But I think up front in the beginning, in the honeymoon phase, like that's not, so I think that's why I said that.
So.
But you know what triggers me about men's dating profiles and what they say? It's like, it always has to say a woman who doesn't take herself too seriously. Don't take yourself too seriously. But it is a consistent thing on dating apps. So I'm like,
is it
okay.
like very, because is it the same way I see makes me laugh?
I think
I
so.
see makes me laugh a lot.
I see it all the time. Like basically 1 out of 3.
Really?
Yeah.
I have this
and I'm just
game.
Like, what?
It's I think for guys the don't take themselves too seriously is like
they want to joke with you.
Men say some real out the pocket shit. Like dudes,
always very sexual as well. But it's like read the room. It's like when you know a person, then yeah, that's cool, fine.
Okay.
Because you will say some outlandish shit.
I do say,
but you knew not to say it to me in the beginning of us knowing each other.
Very true.
And then you would just
the room.
You read the room,
Yes.
and then you started saying out of pocket shit.
Of course, because I'm not gonna, because you can only not be yourself for so long.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you also have to gauge. You have to like almost prepare someone for who you are. Yeah.
Ease them into it. But I will say one thing that I have noticed is I do not do well in groups of women.
Really?
I do well in groups of men.
I feel like I've seen you in groups of women.
I do one-on-ones with women way better than I do one-on-ones with men.
I guess the only other woman I've hung out with you with would have been at the party I first met you at, where you were putting on so many airs. It's really funny.
Yeah, I really didn't. I was so mad. I was in my room just living my life. And then I heard
you
music
popped out
and
of
everything.
nowhere.
Yeah, because I lived on the other side of the loft.
Yeah.
And then all this noise started coming up. I'm like, well, I guess I go get some food.
Yeah.
But
no,
like,
I walk out in the balcony and then I come back in and this other extra person.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like, I live here. I'm like, where have you been the
yeah,
whole
there's
time?
like a whole nother section. But like going back to what I said is I can say if it's me and my buddies, I'm like, and my buddy's late, right? And I'm like, what was you doing? Sucking dick? Like he would laugh. Like everybody would be like, he made a dick sucking joke. I have made that joke in a group of women. Did not go over.
Who were the women? Was it Chin's lady?
Who?
Never mind.
Oh.
I don't want to say
it
names.
It wasn't. And he's gonna get that, which is very funny.
I know.
But no, it was like a group of women I knew from kind of like from college. I wasn't really good friends with all of them.
See,
but
that's
I was
the
friends with
thing.
some
You
of
have to
them.
be good friends with them. For you to say that outlandish pocket shit, because I would never say to like my best friend, like, what were you doing, sucking dick? I would say something hilarious, but it's never, I don't know.
So, but I have a theory that if I didn't know a group of men and I made that joke, it would be received differently.
Yeah, because y'all's baseline is sex. Like, because I think y'all's baseline of humor, I feel like is always consistently when going out with men, it's always like, there'll be a dick joke somewhere in the first date, somehow, some way, some reason. Even if it's subtle, even it's just because like I think it's to gauge like, are you a prude? I think it's a temperature gauge.
How do you feel about
or are you a freak? Because like if they say a dick joke or some sexual joke and then you come back to them with it, it's either like, oh, it's a melding of the minds and like we both have the same humor, or this bitch is a freak, let's go.
I guess.
That's a lot of assumptions.
But I never thought about it like that, and I think that's a really good way to think about it because I very much shy away from like dick jokes.
In the beginning of dating a woman.
Of dating a woman or even people in general. Yeah. Unless it's like, I don't respect, this is weird. I don't respect men as much as I respect women. For a dude, I'll hit a dude with a dick joke first day. But for a woman, I'll...
But again, I don't think that's respect. I think that's like knowing the same base language, right? But like, and also a question. Here's the question. If you were with a group of men who weren't American, who were like Filipino or like from the Middle East, everyone speaks English.
Yeah.
Would you hit them with a dick joke?
Of course.
Really?
Dick is universal.
Really? Interesting. Even for like strangers? Like 100%. I feel like... Okay.
Dick. Like that's a weird thing about it's like there's a similar
even
thing.
Strangers?
Yeah. What?
I don't know.
He's got a dick.
That's true.
Dick is universal. I just wonder, like...
I feel like vagina is also universal, but I'm never going to be like, sup, bitch? How's your vag? I guess you don't say
like
sup.
That's not how we do that.
I feel like you don't say sup.
Hey, man, how that dick swinging. We don't do that. That's... That's
But you could.
But it's just that's crunchy. No, we don't do that.
Oh, that's too much.
No,
that's
not,
the line.
it's not
Okay,
too
we
much.
found it.
It's not
we
too
found
much.
the line.
It's just like it's very. I was gonna say it's very vulgar. It's just like
Oh, we
it
found
doesn't
We
make
found the
sense.
line.
Like if I want you to be like, hey man, that cock looking long today. It's just not. See,
Okay,
see
but-
how you reacted. It's just very. But if I was like, if it's something about dicks, not about your dick,
In
you know what I
general.
mean? Like
I guess dicks are very funny things.
they're very fun. They're oblong. Some have bends where they don't need to be. It's very interesting.
Spots.
That one I don't know about. That doesn't. My model doesn't have spots.
Okay.
We're strictly two-tone. I don't.
Excellent. Let's
I don't
move
know.
past
I'm
this
just
topic
saying.
really fast. I
But-
don't need to know the details of
But
yours.
with another guy, it's like if I see a group of dudes, I'll be like,
Blog.
yo, she is hustling in that mail truck.
I mean, it's a
Sorry,
hard
a
hill.
mail truck just went by and it's like.
It's a
But
hard hill.
anyway, I don't know. Why don't women make vagina jokes?
I feel like we
I
might
wanted
make
to say
tit
pussy so
jokes.
bad, but it felt wrong.
But like, okay, strippers who I follow do they make pussy jokes? I don't know. They make like stripper jokes, but it's more about men and like their reaction to like pussy or like women in general. So
What
I
is
guess
women's funny base? Like, what do women know will always kill in a room full of women?
making fun of misogyny? And like,
I don't think so.
okay,
Because
maybe
if
not.
you think like where I'm from in like, northern Georgia, where you have like southern.
Okay,
white-
yeah,
Like what will kill across all women?
I don't know.
Dick will kill across all men.
See, like vag and tits won't, because you don't know how the other woman will feel. I really don't know.
There's no like you guys don't have one singular.
Do you know?
And maybe that's what makes you guys so great.
Yeah.
It's like for us, there's one thing that you can manipulate a man with, right? But for women, it's so individualistic. It's like
I'm
You
sure
don't
there's
have
something,
that.
I just can't think of it right now. Because like pop culture sometimes, but like some people don't fuck with pop culture. I don't know. Some people are into like fashion or I don't know.
no commonalities.
I'm gonna keep thinking as we talk, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
What is your idea of like the fortitude of sisterhood between women?
I mean, that's hard because it just depends. Because like you will talk to me about Miss America, the Kate
Mhm,
Blanchett.
mhm,
I still
mhm.
haven't seen it,
Very good.
but there's still that, which is divisive. But the bitches that I run with is very hard, very loyal.
Mhm.
But I think that just might be the people that I attract because like I'm also a very loyal, passionate person. So I'm not gonna fuck with flaky bitches.
yeah, no, and I understand that, but
But I think in overall, I don't know. I mean, I trust a group of women way more than I trust a group of men.
understandably,
So
I don't trust men.
I think there's that. Like my first thought when you say like the fortitude of the sisterhood of women, I think immediately to like a bathroom at a club where like everyone kind of becomes friends.
Really?
Because we're all waiting in line for the bathroom and we're just like, your dress is so cute or you're so pretty, blah, blah, blah. And like that to me is like sisterhood of everyone like gassing each other up. We're not doing anything. We're going to the bathroom. Like we're completing a general human act
Mhm.
and we're all so nice to each other and like drunk and I miss that of quarantine. Like that's the stupid
it.
shit I miss.
Would you say that's like so for dudes, and we were just talking about because your dad was here. When there's a nice car,
Mhm.
it's like
Y'all will gather like they're giving away free bread. Like
yeah, and it's natural. It's like, man, how fast is that thing? That thing got a Hemi in it. Like,
yeah.
is that what it's like in the line in the bathroom for women? It's like you're like, oh, she has sequins on her dress, or that shit's glittery.
No, because
No?
sometimes like a good outfit I will compliment. I know not everyone
Uh-huh.
would. But no, people don't. I feel like women don't gather. I'm trying to think of what we would gather for. Because some women really like cars and would gather for that too.
Mhm.
But like by and large, like a stereotype that we would gather for.
I think what I'm trying to see is like, for men, and a lot of men will be like, no, but there are monolithic things which you can like account men to be.
For women, it's probably like like a puppy, or like
Why?
a cat. Puppies are cute, and it's like something to snuggle, and it's like I don't know.
Like I play this game whenever I'm dating apps. It's called Travel, Drinking, and Dogs,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like if I see someone who doesn't have either of those three things in their profile, it's an automatic like I'll right swipe them, right? I went through I did it with Jackson.
It sounds like the Bechdel test, but for
I don't know.
totally.
What is that?
The Bechdel test is whether two women in a film speak to each other. There are two named women in a movie, two women who have names, who speak to each other about something other than a man. Who like exchange 3 sentences that is something other than like a man, like their son, their husband, and it's really hard to pass it.
Wait, what?
Like,
how would we play right now?
You'd have to be a woman, and then I'd be like, "Hey, how's your day?" And you'd be like, "It's good." And you'd be like, "Oh, that's great." And then that passes the Bechdel test. But a lot of movies, a lot of films don't have two women in it who are named, who have a conversation that is outside a man.
Huh? On purpose?
I think
Or people just write for women that way?
I think people just work, like male writers for a while just wrote for women that way.
Really?
Yeah.
So basically,
Because I'm trying to think of big ones. My first thought is the Avengers, right? Who are the two main women in that? Like Black Widow and Maria Hill. I don't think they ever talk to each other.
fuck me.
And if they did, it would be about one of their teammates. We should talk about that. Because it's like Fast and Furious is the same. Like the big franchise.
What's a movie that is predominantly women? Have you seen Ocean's 8?
Ocean's 8.
I think they passed that test a couple times.
Oh, 100%. Like, yeah. If you have at least more than 2 women, you would probably pass it. But it's really crazy. Like, a lot of Christmas movies don't pass that test. Like, they just don't. Women just do not talk to each other in movies.
Die Hard doesn't pass that test. I'm thinking about it. I don't think a woman speaks to another woman in Die Hard.
A lot of the J-Lo movies from the past, like
Wedding Planner?
No, Wedding Planner does pass it because she's trying to negotiate to become a partner at her wedding. I just watched this movie, so that's why I know this. No, she's in a movie with George Clooney, and she's the only woman. And I think The Cell too, with her and Vince Vaughn, and that serial killer whose brain she goes into. I don't think there's another woman in that movie, but the George Clooney one, because that's from the early '90s, and I was like, why is she the only lady in this film?
Huh. And I guess being a dude, I never think about those things like that, but it's...
And see, so for that is there are no people of color in like the Marilyn Monroe movies.
I don't think we're really stressing about that.
I know, but I just noticed it now. Or like Texas Chainsaw, like I've been watching a lot of horror movies, so there are a lot of black people in any of those movies.
But for good reason. Black people in horror, like, I don't know what it is. Black people have this thing called, that don't feel right. So we wouldn't be in those situations either way. Like, I was in my own house.
Except in Get Out.
But we won that one, which is very not, like, it doesn't... I'm glad we won, but let's be honest now. Like, if the cops had really rode up, they would have put 18 holes in him.
Well, that was the alternative ending.
Yeah. But
which would have been dark.
But he still would have won.
Yeah, the whole thing got caught on fire.
Took a white family
he
down.
stopped it. He stopped
He did, the cycle. But I think what's, like, really interesting is seeing African American people in cinema. Let me backtrack. Before I went to college, I knew a lot of Korean people.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know a lot of Chinese people.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never... this mail carrier needs to get her license revoked. Damn.
She whipping.
Anyway, before I went to college, I knew a lot of Korean people. I didn't know a lot of Chinese people. And I never had any problem with Korean folks. I went to Korean school for like 3 or 4 years. Like, I don't have any issues with them. But I always noticed that when I went to college in California, Chinese people always had like a really crunchy exterior to me.
Crunchy, like off-putting, or crunchy like the people in Boulder, Colorado now wearing shoes?
Off-putting.
Okay.
What the fuck is that about?
Crunch, like you've never heard of anyone described as crunchy or granola?
Oh, no. Yeah, I know what that means, but who's not wearing shoes?
Bitches in Boulder. Me and my parents took a trip there. I was like 11, and this motherfucker, I think white guy with dreadlocks and a backpack.
That tells you. Now, see, that's
and
that's
he
all
did
I
not
need
have
to
shoes,
know.
but he was not homeless because it was like a nice backpack, and he had like a nice
Yeah, that's
watch,
them
like a
people.
nice hiking watch or something.
That's them people. I want to feel the touch of nature.
Or he was, I don't know.
But anyway, so like with Chinese folk, I just had a hard time melding with them, and I had a talk with a friend of mine. He's not Chinese, but he grew up in Hong Kong, and he's like, you have to
But
understand.
that's distinct. Hong Kong.
It's distinct, but he still had a good insight on it. He's like, you have to understand that the only time Chinese people have ever seen African Americans, for the most part, have been in films. And up until a certain point, we'd always been the antagonist in films, right?
I wonder if are Russians the same? Because
Yo,
if
I
it
was
would
about
be
to say the same thing. Anytime I hear someone with like a Slavic accent or like Peter Strome, who's from the Netherlands, like anytime you have an adverse white accent, I'm like, man, that guy's a villain. And
like Hans Gruber sounded.
Hans Gruber, right? So as soon as I heard that, as soon as he told me that, I'm like, oh, I totally understand. Like, cause
But my question was like, should we stop for?
nah, it's fine.
Okay. My question is like, there are not a lot of, because like I watch a lot of Mila Kunis interviews. Don't ask me why, but she would say when she moved here,
From
she's like,
USSR.
yeah, she was
Yeah.
like, I'd never seen a black person before. So my question is, do you find that Russians are the same, where like there's that, because there are not a lot of black people in Russia, according to Mila Kunis. So
Not really. So growing up, my mom had a really good friend who's from like that part of the country, that part of the world. I think the thing about Russia is, and I don't know a lot about Russia, but struggle is universal. So if you struggled and someone else has struggled, you can bond over struggle.
well, the Chinese struggled. They got invaded by Japan and like have a lot of beef with them, a lot of beef in general.
Yo,
with a
that
lot of
one I
people.
don't know. that one I don't know. Because I look at it like this.
Just the history.
Yo, Eastern Europe and Africa, two sides of the same coin. I'd rather be a hungry African than a hungry Eastern European any day. Because it's like being a hungry African, but it's cold. You know what I mean? They have winter. Honestly, the Eastern Bloc is still a rough place to live. And if you ask me right now, if I'd rather be a hungry in Africa, a hungry in the Eastern Bloc, Africa any day.
Yeah.
Africa any day.
Well, yeah.
It's just it's a rough life. The Eastern Bloc is a rough life, and that's one thing I've never understood. Is like we always see like starving African kids and stuff like that. I don't really see a lot coming out of that part of town.
I mean, like in the winter, they're always bulked up with like all the jackets.
Yeah.
So you can't really tell.
Right, and then alcoholism is something that takes a lot of people in that region because it's so cold, right?
And it makes you swell. So like,
Oh, it does it?
I feel like if you like an alcoholic or heavy drinker, like I know I always get bloated like
Mhm.
after I drink. So it's like, you don't swell like a balloon, but like it's enough to not look gaunt if you're starving. I don't know. I also don't know how the human body works like that. So
Yeah, I don't know about alcohol,
potatoes.
but it's always interesting. Like, I've never felt as though I've been racially profiled against from someone from the Eastern Bloc.
Okay.
Like, and the weird thing is, you can also, for the most part, tell someone from Eastern Europe. They have like a grizzled look on their face. I mean, honestly, like I have a couple friends who are from
trying to think,
like
right.
like Latvia, Estonia, Russia, Belarus, and their faces just look like they've been hardened a bit. And I've never had any problems with them.
I'm trying to think of all of the Eastern Europeans that I know, and like, would I say the same? You know that they're not from here,
You can tell.
because it's like, yeah, anyone who's not from the States, like you just kind of tell. I mean, I think because my mom's not from here, so it's like you pick up on the foreignness.
Yeah, and I think that it's
But
very
also
interesting
Community.
how you can be like that's not from here. Like you can
But
definitely
in a good for me, it's in a good way. And I
Yeah.
think for you, it's also in a good way.
yeah. It's
But,
great
like,
to be able to
then-
scope.
Americans will also be like, they're not from here, in a bad way.
I guess.
So I guess everyone has this
Everyone has
this
this issue.
skill.
Yeah. I don't know. I always think about that.
So you already had subjects you want to talk about, the bringing up the funny thing.
Yeah.
Did you have another one that you wanted to bring up?
We are, but we're running out of time a little bit.
Okay.
So
What
I'm
else
probably gonna cut this one a little bit earlier.
Okay.
But you can cut that one.